back tonight, starting 502 podcast on the State of Louisville Network. I am Jacob Lane, subbing in for Presley Meyer tonight, and I'm joined by the one, the only, the Four Loco King, Roman Kelly of Big X. How we doing, buddy? Good to see you, man. It's been a while.
Doing great. Glad to be back in. Glad to have you a part of this episode here, and it has been a while, but I'm feeling good. Feeling good individually in life, but there's a lot to discuss in the terms of Louisville basketball. The Starting 502 podcast has been off the airwaves for a week or so now, but we got to get back on, and it's time to discuss a few things.
That's right. We've been so post like transfer portal, big news for the most part. TBT is coming up, so we're kind of kicking that off and getting excited for that. You had just some news this week. But hey, before we get into the thick of things tonight on the show, a jam-packed show, why don't you go ahead and hit the subscribe button right down here, State of Louisville YouTube channel. Check that out for all kinds of great podcasts. We've got content ranging from food to golf as well. And you might even be seeing a little bit more of this man to my left here on the YouTube channel outside of Starting 502. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Follow us on social at the State of Lou, at Starting 502. As well as at Romy Bean, at Jacob Lane 08. Let's get into it, Roman. You're right. We haven't talked in a while. There's been a lot of things news-wise happening for Louisville, including Pat Kelsey throwing out the first pitch of the Reds game yesterday. Yeah. So how about that, right?
Gave him some good luck.
Right. I mean, my man Pat is, we saw him last year with the punt returns or the kickoff returns. We saw him out on the volleyball floor, serving it up. I think this is a man of the people, an athlete. Like if you gave him a position listing in life, Roman, he is an ATH. He is an athlete out there doing it all. But that's not the big news. Big news, let's start this week. Or really more last week, but the UK UofL game, the schedule coming out, or at least the release of this game coming out. And we are so used to this basketball game taking place, post-Christmas, right before the new year. We, kind of expect it at the same time every single year. And this year, Roman, they kind of flipped it upside on its head, and this game will move to the early portion of the year, specifically November 11th. What are your thoughts on that? I know there's been a lot of people who hate it, a lot of people who, don't love it. What are your thoughts?
I'm not one of those people that's going to sit here and say this is the worst thing ever at all by any means. It's going to feel weird. It's going to be awkward. The basketball game's not supposed to be played before the football game in our head.
Right.
So it's going to be weird to adjust to. What I don't like about this specifically, and there's obviously some pros and cons to this, but a Tuesday night.
Right. A Tuesday night. That's the big deal for me.
The biggest rivalry in college basketball doesn't get played on a Tuesday night.
Unless it's North Carolina Duke for the second time. Then they play once, like midweek, one Saturday. That's but they get two a year. So, it's different.
I personally think that if you wanted to move it up, you should have prioritized it being a Saturday. I think that in terms of this, I've heard that there's a lot of feelings that this will bring in more students from both schools due to this being significantly in the middle of school in the very midst of the semester still.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like the idea of there being more students. I like the idea of the student section being jam-packed, crazy, overflowing into regular sections with students. I think that's going to be a plus. I think the crowd atmosphere in the arena will make it that'll be a plus. Now, on a Tuesday, I just think that seems a little bit silly. I think there's a lot of other fans out there who would have loved to be able to go to this game, and
sure.
You help them out as well by making it a Saturday. So I think that you could have gotten the students in the middle of November. You could have also probably pushed it to the Saturday to get in everybody who wants to have that chance to go. It's tougher for people to make that happen on a weeknight. And some people, that's the only game they got circled every year that they want to go to. It's a big game for a lot of Louisville fans and both Kentucky fans. So I'm not mad at it getting moved up before November, but I think putting it on a Tuesday like that, and I get that you couldn't compete you don't want to compete with college football on Saturday, but at the same time, I mean, like Louisville plays Friday. I think it had the opportunity to be an amazing week if you could have played it on the Saturday. But I understand TV rights rule everything. Not trying to compete with the big names on college football on Saturday is important, and then also having it be the sole important basketball game being played that Tuesday night will help us with that TV attention to the ACC, right, and drive up those bonus numbers. I think that we get bonuses now if you bring in high numbers for the ACC coverage. So that's where I'm at with it. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't like the Tuesday, but I will say you kind of hit the nail on the head there right at the end that that's all about getting as many eyeballs, right? Like what is going on a Tuesday in the middle of November? Nothing, right? Like there's nothing going on. There will be college football games as they get to the very end of the season. That will be extremely important on that Saturday. Folks will be tapped into that. College basketball really kind of gets tucked in between the NBA starting and the World Series kind of coming to an end, and then football and the NFL. College basketball gets lost until post Thanksgiving, so I can understand putting it on a Tuesday. But if you're really trying to cater to the best environment, I think a Saturday, as you said, would have been the best move. I mean, if you're moving it up this early and you have a little bit of flexibility, why not put it on a Saturday? Why not schedule it in a way, unless there's arena availability issues, whatever the case is. When you start to really boil down a schedule, pockets of time become very small, and you lose weekends very quickly with the Yum Center having events and other things. So I can understand the desire to move it up because here's one thing as a fan that I personally, it's not that I don't, it's not like I see that, but I don't like that we start playing conference games and then turn right back around and have to play UK and then go right back into the ACC, right? I'd rather this game be played in the midst of our, non-conference schedule in a way in which, it can be the most important thing and it can be, a huge deal to the schedule at that point in time. And not get caught in the ACC midst of them, getting, playing maybe a Miami and an NC State,
exactly.
or whatever the case is. But I think that there's definitely a lot to be seen as to how this impacts things. I think most people would have said they prefer the football game have been moved up into the early portion of the season versus basketball. But beggars can't be choosers, I guess. And that
I would
the
have liked
place
to
will
see
be
this
packed.
basketball game on the last game of the season, Jacob. I know that's kind of crazy, but the football teams do it. Make this
Yeah.
game the very, very last game we play in February, or like you say, make it the last game of the non-conference slate. The fact that you're starting ACC play up, and then immediately having to focus all of your attention to your rival, a game that
Yeah.
doesn't impact your ACC record, obviously.
Right.
With quad one wins and the quadrant system and stuff, playing Kentucky in basketball is always going to be a valuable game for us going forward with where they tend to be. So I think in terms of what's best for a team that's trying to be an elite college basketball team as soon as possible in their season, which
Mm-hmm.
typically means getting all those kinks and stuff worked out by non-conference play by the end of your non-conference slate. I think it'd be cool. Put Kentucky right there. You've gotten to see us work through good teams, those lesser teams, turn ACC, SEC challenge, whatever it is. That you end it all with Kentucky. Boom. Take away the non-conference now and focus purely on ACC. I
Yeah.
would have
And
liked
that,
I would have liked that to be the logic if you wanted to change it at all. But like you said, beggars can't be choosers. So the fact that it's something new. I think the game did need something needed to be changed.
yeah,
Coming,
it certainly brings it some new juice, right? And I mean, midweek, it's going to get people at work talking. It's going to really, where you don't have a weekend. The next morning, you can come in and you can trash talk the neighbor in your cubicle about how bad UK sucks, right? Or vice versa, right? Throw the L's down at work and get away with it for one day out of the year type of situation. So I get it, right? I get it. It certainly can bring a new life and bring a lot of energy, but a Saturday is what's going to get people out. Now, again, you're competing with so many different things in Louisville, but Tuesday night, not really ideal for a top rivalry game, but we'll see what comes of it. The rest of the schedule, though, I mean, it's been shaking out kind of pretty quickly right in front of our eyes.
the
Obviously, we get
non-conference slate's going to be juicy, Jacob.
yeah, that is about as good as it gets for a team that is trying to kind of take a step back into relevance. With we mentioned UK, but you talk about what Tennessee, you talk about potentially rumors of Louisville being linked to Arkansas in the ACC SEC Challenge. You talk about matchups with former rivals in Cincinnati and Memphis, both of
Yep.
whom will have big transfer portal hauls. In fact, just this week, Cincinnati landing Louisville target in Baba Miller. So Cincinnati, both those teams are going to be really interesting, and Louisville's going to certainly have its handful early on in the season. And let's get into a little bit of roster talk, Roman. I think that's one thing people definitely are interested in. A lot of chatter taking place over the last couple of days. Really kind of started with some of those very God, man, what were we going to call them? Teaser memes, teaser gifs, where people just post the eyes or the Chris Farley glasses up and down to try to get attention and alert people. But typically, there's at least sometimes there's
Those eyes
there's
right there.
right where there's smoke, there's fire, right? And in this case, that is exactly what's happened. Rumors starting to kind of come out over the beginning of the week that Aly Khalifa was ineligible and was not going to be able to suit up for the Louisville Cardinals in 2025, 2026. And now, as we sit here later in the week, we have an official statement from Louisville in regards to Aly Khalifa's status, in which they have confirmed that as of today, he is ineligible and that his eligibility has been exhausted. And Roman, I know you guys talked about this on the radio show, and you probably have a much better
It's
idea.
BS,
of kind of
Jacob.
ins and outs. Yeah.
It's
look at
BS.
this. We got a visitor, man. Who we got here?
This is
Who we got here?
Apollo.
What's up, Apollo? Man,
Great Dane. He's huge.
He looks big, man.
I'm sitting on a stool, and he up to here while I'm sitting down. It's insane.
Don't make the wrong move, or you're missing a hand at the end of the show.
Yeah, he'll knock everything down here.
Right.
But yeah, Jacob, I heard about this Derby time I heard some murmurs, right? There was some scuttlebutt or whatever, and I immediately made some phone calls to some people we know, tried to figure out if there was any truth to this, if there was something on the surface with this, and two people I spoke to were like, I haven't heard of this. I haven't seen anything about this. And then literally the next week, the rumors start kind of really, really unfolding. And there's no logic to this, Jacob. There's no logic to this. Do you know how many? I shouldn't be saying this statement as if I know the exact number, but there's plenty of college basketball players in the last 5 years who have redshirted their first year of college play because they weren't good enough, they weren't ready, they didn't play. It's normal. Play their sophomore year. Play their next season after that. And he plays, or third season in 4 years at BYU, comes to Louisville, redshirt medically now. Another allowed, normal, very logical thing that multiple players do, sits out for his fourth season of play for a medical redshirt. And now they're not extending the timeline to even look into accepting his medical redshirt now. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand. Like, I'm sure there was conversations preseason about what his eligibility was going to look like going forward. There was probably an understanding. Why is everything changing now?
It makes no sense. And I'm going to give you a player that is in the portal right now that is a direct comparison without the red shirts that Aly Khalifa had previously. And this is a player who just this week, Roman, was granted a 7th year of college basketball. Devon Cambridge played at Texas Tech the last 2 seasons, was at Arizona State before that, started his career out at Auburn. He played 3 years at Auburn, played 1 year at Arizona State, and then he played in games in 2 seasons at Texas Tech, okay? If you're doing the math, Roman, that is 6 seasons of college basketball.
Where he was on the court.
Where he was on the court. Aly Khalifa has a redshirt year and then a medical redshirt, right? Now, maybe you can make the case if you're the NCAA that this year was was more of a preventative surgery than it was to heal an injury that occurred, right? Whatever. I don't know the specifics of it. HIPAA, right? Yeah. So that's why we're not supposed to know. But at the same time, he didn't play a single game. Practiced up until I think he had his knee surgery before the beginning of the season. So I don't entirely understand where the argument that the NCAA is standing on here, outside of the fact that they're tired of granting all these dudes extra eligibility. They got to figure out one person to get denied. And look, guys, he plays for Louisville. Easy. Boom. Denied.
The guy with 2 red shirts that were fully allowed and normal. I mean, okay, like you just said, maybe the second red shirt, this medical red shirt, wasn't, he was cleared to play January, but needed surgery on an injury from the past year. It took him out at the end of last year at BYU, I thought. I don't think he finished the season with BYU on the court, from my understanding. I don't remember precisely, but he's played 3 seasons on the court, Jacob, with 2 red shirts. Doesn't
Devon
he deserve
Cambridge played 6 seasons of basketball.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. I feel terrible for Aly because you already know he was locked in, ready to get going. He right. Showed it in the weight room. He showed it in the in the working out and the conditioning and getting his body back right for the start of the season to start next season's conditioning. He got his body right just to start conditioning like a regular basketball player. He's fully locked in. Took a lot of that mid-level weight, extra weight, and turned it into upper-level muscle. We'd have to assume he probably got a little bit lighter on his feet when you drop that much weight, right? So he was going to be a better defender than he was in his last season with BYU. We were rightfully assuming, I guess you could say. And it just sucks because now we have to scramble around. How long is this going to take? Are we going to have to take them to court? Are they going to realize what they're doing right now isn't logical? There's no logic in the decision that was made to not grant him an extra year of considering eligibility. I don't even know how to correctly phrase that,
Right.
because they're not denying the medical red shirt. They're denying the extension to even look at his eligibility. Almost like he's played 6 full seasons of basketball or something. Like,
Right. It's like their paperwork got switched up, right? They're like looking at, they're like, Aly Khalifa, approved. And then they're like, Devin Cambridge's playing, like it doesn't make any sense on how we make those two guys same years of college basketball, essentially, just about, right? Maybe 1 year's difference, and you see the outcome, and it makes no sense, and there's no justifying it. There's nobody that's going to go to the microphone to answer for it. And I don't know if I've shared my take with you, but I've been very vocal through the years of State of Louisville and through the podcast of, at this point, fuck them. My philosophy is fuck them, right? Like, just play Aly Khalifa. What are they going to do? I mean, in 3, 4, or 5 years, the NCAA is not going to exist, right? And I know that's not what Pat Kelsey and their team are going to do. That's not what the professionals down on Floyd Street are going to do. But that's what I would do. I would send them out there, and I would start with 2 middle fingers and tell them to take 2 and call me in the morning, right?
Like, and if you try to deny those games, if you say we disqualify ourselves from these games and accept a loss by playing a player ineligible, boom, we're going to court that next Monday, and they're going to finish this trial up in 48 hours rather than
please just.
Because here's what's going to happen.
God,
here's what's going to happen, Jacob. I hate to be a Debbie Downer. I hate to think the worst is coming. And it's not really the worst, because I think the worst isn't possible, because he's definitely going to have eligibility. It just doesn't add up. They're not going to get this figured out till January or February. With our luck, with Louisville's luck, we're going to – you can't go do anything in the portal now. How do we go – you're going to go offer $100,000, $200,000 money, a significant amount of money to a big in the portal when – oh, wait a minute, we're still waiting to see if we're going to pay the guy we're planning to play more than you, because he's been here for a year. He understands our system, but we were just told that he might not be able to play, so we're kind of waiting on him. But just in case he can't, we want you. So what do you think?
Yeah.
That's not a pitch. That's not a pitch to guys in the portal right now. They're going to say,
be my just in case. Yeah.
These guys want to start me over here. These guys want to start me over here for a little less money. It's a no-brainer. You're not going to go genuinely consider that when there's a chance that you're not going to play at all. When a lot of the names in the portal right now, especially bigs, aren't really in the portal still looking out for money. They're trying to see who's going to let them play the most, who's going to give me the best opportunity to better my name and send my name to a better place in scouting and stuff. Not to say that there's still those guys that are like, who's going to give me the most money? I don't care where I'm at. And there's obviously still those guys that are like probably going to go back to where they were, originally at. They were just testing the waters. I get that. Mm-hmm. You can't go logically get someone that you think you could productively use in your rotation because of what that player is going to cost to play at the level. A player who you think can go play at this level, they're costly. They're expensive. Guys that for a fact their game can translate over to the ACC and play in a system like Pat Kelsey's. There's not a lot of these kind of guys left. I don't even mean to bring this up in a negative light. Sonny Frews hasn't put pen to paper yet. I know we haven't heard anything negative about that process. There's no word on not going how we think. That's all because of him still literally being under contract with his pro team and literally still playing in their, I believe, postseason tournament. We know that's on track to all happening still. But what do we like? You mentioned at the start of this talk, we're going to talk about roster building, what we think we might need going forward. How do we even decide what we need if we don't know what we have?
Right. It's a real tough situation to be in to find out his eligibility. And that's also coming off of the heels of what was a very unfortunate timing situation with James Scott, obviously having up until the window of the portal closing and having to go in there, and then lands at Ole Miss, reportedly had offers from Ole Miss and from NC State of up over $1 million. So, I mean, at that point, and you're not paying that for 6 points and 4 rebounds. It's just not happening. And while he would have been a great continuity piece, you felt good that you had Aly Khalifa and that you had Sonny Frew and that you had some versatile players in the front court that like Case and Pryor that you could play at the 5 and that you could figure it out, right? And we saw Louisville get involved with Baba Miller. We saw Louisville get involved with Daniel Riviera at UMass. We've seen Louisville get involved with Stephon Payne, who ultimately landed at Seton Hall. So we've seen them try to land a big man, but it just hasn't happened. And at this point, there's 2 names left, really. And they're both, one of them is a star player. Darian Williams will be the number 1 player in the portal in the front court if he comes back to college basketball instead of going to the NBA. And the other is Vin Allen Lubin, who played at North Carolina last year and is kind of a 4 or 5 So there are a few names, but look, there are 30 teams in college basketball right now that have rosters of 10 or 11 guys. So there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of supply, a lot of demand, and not a lot of supply. And so with that being the case, knowing that you need a center, whether you get Aly Khalifa back or not, Roman, you needed another five. You needed somebody that could play, 20 minutes a game, because Aly Khalifa has never been a guy that's a big volume minutes player. He's played 15, 20 minutes most of his career. And so for Louisville now, they look overseas, and a name has emerged over the last couple of weeks from Greece, of all places, and that is Vangelis Zougris, who plays in the top league in Greece, in the Greek basketball league, for a team in Athens, and in fact plays on a team with a name that some people around here may recognize, Chris Coffey, a Louisville native, I believe played at Seneca High School, went on to play at Georgetown College. He is actually the based off of a depth chart. I don't know how accurate this is, right? I can only read some of it. Most of it's not in English, but it looks like he is Zougris is the backup to Chris Coffey. So how about the Louisville connection there? But Zougris is a guy who has played professionally since he was 18 years old in Greece. He is now 20. He's played on the Greece national team with grown men. And
what is he, 250?
265,
265.
6'8", 265. They don't make them like that anymore.
No, they only make them like that in Greece, from as far as I know.
That's like
he's
some
built.
Robert Trailer, right?
He's a full-grown man at 20 years old already, with professional experience under his belt.
Yeah, this is like football teams are going to see this guy and be like, "Yo, you know how to play football?" But yes, you hit it right there. This is a kid who comes over with a lot of size, 6'8", 265. He is a bruiser.
He dunks everything.
Center. He wants to dunk. He dunks like Montrezl Harrell. He is on the floor and moves laterally like Steven Van Treese. He's got the athleticism of a guy like George Good, a smaller but still athletic guy with more weight. At that 260, 250. I think George Good played at 255.
And if you give him the ball on the block, he can give you. He's got that tough shoulder. He'll give you the quick little 1-2. He's not going to sit there and break every man down from the post from the 8-foot of the range basket. But if you give him the ball down there, he has those quick one dribble move, one shoulder into the player, go up quick with it, kind of a play style. Which with Sonny Frew, there's a lot of uncertainty on just how efficient he's going to be down low for us as an interior presence on the offensive end. We obviously are all confident, but we still got to see it to believe it. He's got to come over here and show he can do it at the ACC level, which that's kind of weird because he's dealing with more physicality and grown men over there, but it's a different pace of play over here. It's a different style of play over here. A lot more ball handling over here from players at his size and position that he has to learn. He's going to have to learn how to deal with. So it's more of a defensive thing that we're kind of seeing if Sonny Frew is going to be able to bring it in, because we know Pat Kelsey's system is a lot more similar to those European styles rather than the average college basketball system. But still, we're still a little bit of uncertainty around him. James Scott, we know, is gone, right?
Yeah,
and then so the Zougris kid being on his way in, this is huge for us. When he first announced that we'd potentially be having potentially getting a player in with this kind of profile athletically, I was like, well, this is a great kind of a depth piece here. When you have a Sonny Frew, if he's going to be what we think he's going to be, if the reports on what he actually is are true, and then you have Aly Khalifa backing him up, which we all believe is going to be one of the best passing bigs in the nation, if not the best passing big in the nation.
The best.
This was going to be the perfect balance to those three after losing a James Scott, right? A James Scott who we felt if you got Sonny, and if Sonny's what we hear he is, and if you got Aly to kind of balance that out as a stretch five when you want to bring Sonny off and you kind of want to play five out kind of a ball, you've got that. Now you've got Zougris in, who can play that bruiser with the screens. He can be that offensive rebounding threat. He can be that defensive rebounding threat. He's strong. He's not going to give up any inches down low at all. He's I don't even know he's one of those guys that it's like you're kind of scared of him because nothing slows him down. He's a tank out there in the way he operates. But he's still fundamental because he's grown up and learned the fundamentals of basketball. He's got all the intangible stuff. He's got pretty good footwork for a big man. So if he can come over here and be utilized, we know athletically he's going to fit right in. Can the ball skills all translate over? Is the passing going to translate over? Is his ability to just pick up the game going to be – it's not going to happen in time. I'm hearing that things are good with that and him – I'm talking as if he's already here, but I shouldn't do that we obviously see anything can happen, anything
Right.
can change.
Right. I
Just a
mean,
couple weeks ago, I was saying,
Louisville's had 3 guys I think that were silent commits or close to it that were foreign players that have ended up on other rosters. So
that's exactly what
you
I was
just
about to say. Just a couple weeks
my
ago,
bad, stepped all over it.
no, it's all good. Just a couple weeks ago, you things are going this way with what you think the roster is and who's potentially going to sign, and then boom, 2 weeks later, it can get flipped on its head.
Yeah, I think Louisville fans will love Zougris because he plays like he's going to war. Like he plays like he eats rocks for breakfast.
Yeah.
There is a toughness with him.
And he looks like he was maybe fed rocks for breakfast growing up.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it looks like he literally went, to war at 5 years old. Like it is unreal in which the presence and strength he plays with, the physicality. He is a terror. Think Montrezl Harrell on the European basketball court, right? In terms of the trash talking. I've seen pictures, a couple of them that have been kind of circulating of him with a bloody face, bloody nose. Like that's the kind of guy you're going to get. Yeah, like he is the epitome of European basketball when you talk about physicality, muck them up, get physical, break a nose, keep playing. And I think that, if he does end up on the roster, he'll be a nice fit. I do worry about teams putting him in ball screens and making him move side to side. I mean, that, at over there, it's a completely different game that's more passing and, kind of flowing of the offense.
Off ball screens and stuff, yeah.
Right. More so than it is the traditional NBA that we're seeing. I shouldn't say traditional, but the NBA and college game, which is, you got Jimmy Butler guarding a center to start on the floor because they're going to switch and he wants to maintain the leverage to go with the guy that he ultimately wants to guard, right? So in college basketball, as that starts the transition, look for teams to put Zougris in ball screens, right? Like the North Carolinas that are going to have dynamic downhill attacking guards, right? Some of the teams in the ACC, like the Clemsons that have a dynamic pair of scoring guards in Ephraim Johnson and Justin Porter. Those are going to be guys that try to put them in ball screens this year, and that kind of will be interesting to see. So we'll see. Stay definitely tuned on that because I would suspect that if something is going to happen, it will happen soon. And if not, there's all kinds of things from visas to school credibility or school credits and compliance and all the things that have to go into it that we don't even know about. So we'll see what happens, Evan. There's obviously been nothing official that's been reported of anyone at the high levels. I've seen some tweets and stuff, but we'll see. I think that overall they have, as of today, they have 9 scholarship players. So they have, to get to the old roster limit, Roman, they have 4 scholarships. They could use up to 15 scholarships. So they could, in fact, add up to 6 players on this roster. I don't think that will be the case, but I do know that the Cole Shermans and the Patrick Antonellis of the world exited due to there not being space on this team. So we will see, what comes of this and where they can add. I'll just say this. It's a different day of college basketball. You're going to have players that aren't signed that go to schools with money, money arguments and ultimately go back into the portal late, or coaches leave for the NBA, or coaches leave for another job, or they retire.
Coaches retire, yeah.
Right. Those guys can go into the portal.
Players played 3 years at one school and for the senior year go off for more money. It's like, it's sad, but it makes total sense, then the opposite as well.
Yeah. And then the last thing I'll say is watch out for, I know that Brovich, the kid from Charleston who had the lawsuit against the NCAA claiming that he should get another year of eligibility due to playing Division II basketball and that impacting his NIL capabilities, that was denied. But watch out for what comes of college basketball and college sports with this 5th year of eligibility. There are about 30 guys in the portal right now that don't have eligibility. Most of them guards, more so than anything else. But a Ben Middlebrooks, for example, at NC State, big 7-foot center, right? He would be overnight would become one of the top players in the portal. There are a ton of guys like him that are just waiting to hear what comes of that. So we'll see if maybe that late in the cycle, Roman, you get guys that are coming back into college basketball based off of that lawsuit, and that could open up the floodgates to transfers. You just never know. High school guys, late class, early enrollees, right? You could bring somebody in January. More international guys that we're not familiar with, prep players, JUCO players, D2 players, NAIA players. There are a variety of different guys that are out there that we may not even be thinking about that Louisville could add to the roster, because at this point they just need depth. They don't need a star at any position. They just need bodies to keep going and get this team to where it needs.
I think we could use like one more trustworthy, productive piece, who can shoot and defend, but we don't need, like you said, another high six-figure guy that's going to come in here and try to be one of
Right.
our main go-to guys. We've already got that.
Right. Yeah, I really like a name I'm just throwing out there. Louisville's not been involved by any means, and he's not somebody that's necessarily at the top of anybody's portal list. But Malcolm Wilson, 7-footer at Queens College in North Carolina, in Charlotte, North Carolina, led the country in shot blocking last year, played at Georgetown previously. So there's some guys out there that are intriguing, maybe that would play more of a Frank role than anything else. But definitely keep your eyes open and stay locked in here on Starting 502 Podcast.
Yep.
Press Meyer, Jay Cook, Roman.
Fingers crossed for
myself.
Aly that they can get this solved ASAP.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. We're sending all of the best vibes to that attorney that, we've done our bad attorney stuff here at Louisville. Let's make this the best attorney stuff. Let's get these things going in the right way for us. But like I said earlier in the show, subscribe right here below on YouTube at the State of Lou. Subscribe to the podcast anywhere you get your podcast from. Check out the Real Spiel Pod. Check out Roman and Trevor and Will and the gang talking NBA, talking sports. You guys have been killing it.
Appreciate
and
that.
be sure
Which might be on later tonight.
There we go. And be sure to check out Big X, Mike Rutherford Show, of course, where you can hear Roman Monday through Friday with Mike talking all things Louisville Cardinals. Roman, any final thoughts before we get out of here, man?
Nope, just like you said, Jacob, we pretty much touched on all of it. I think that we're just in the midst here of what is a changing environment of college basketball and transfer portal and NIL, and we're watching it in the very midst right now, fluctuate and be on the verge of being different at any moment's notice. So keep your eyes peeled, keep your ears open, and be excited, stay excited, because no matter what happens, we're going to have a fun year ahead and a fun roster. So
go Cards. We'll get into the power rankings in the ACC. Check out State of Louisville. I've been keeping up with the rosters all off season long, each roster up to date for every ACC team. I think Louisville's sitting really pretty right now. We'll dive into all of that in the coming weeks. And of course, if you don't have your tickets, go ahead and get them to TBT coming up in July. Louisville will host all the way to the very end here before if they can make it to the Final Four, we'll
be in there.
Final destination. We will be in there. Was looking at a picture the other night of Coach Kelsey and Daryl Griffith, and who is in the background photobombing that picture by accident? No one else but Roman Kelly. So be sure that you get your tickets so you can see that live in action. And of course, as I mentioned, stay tuned. We've got more great content coming your way this summer. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, go Cards.